I'm still trying to understand what 3D printing is. The idea of printing food is a little bit odd. I think down the road, if that was possible, that would be awesome.
I would want to know how it would taste, what the profile is.
No, I could see, it's just food in a different shape, and people have been doing that by slicing and paring and constructing up things, and it's just another step that saves you the labor of having to do it all.
3D printing is something to look at. You can get ingredients very close to each other and mixed in a way that you, in a more controlled way than with other techniques.
Problem with printed food. I don't think it's that far of a step off some of the processed foods that we already eat. I don't know if I'd want it to be like the main staple of my diet, but I can definitely see some of the benefits of it.
Eating printed 3D food. when you brought in the chocolate, I tried it and it was delicious.
I would say I wouldn't want my vegetables and fruits to come mostly from there. I mean, if it's used to flavor something, sure, but it seems a Jetson-esque step to have your fruits and veggies come out of a printer.
Yeah, I think the one thing that would be kind of weird would be like a synthetic meat.
Discrete ingredients, if you properly label the ingredients, you very clearly see what goes into your food.
In terms of education, I think understanding the inputs that go into your food are important. Having them come out of a machine is still a little bit strange. One of the things I do think would be interesting is being extremely efficient in your ingredients so that you wouldn't have any waste.
Knowing what the extreme ends of the spectrum are for a particular food, or how you're going to make it, or what you're going to do with it, and pushing those boundaries is often the way to educate people more. But
the fact that food preparation is either a completely manual process today, or you need to rely on something you buy in a box that you may or may not trust, that's kind of anachronistic. So a more sort of on-demand, localized, mechanized or robotic food preparation system, of which 3D printing could be a part, I think there's a future for that.
If you've got a food printing machine potentially in your kitchen counter, for kids and parents alike, it could be another avenue to see the building of food. It's like Lego-like.
I think it removes them an even further step from where our food comes from. I already think one of the biggest problems we have in this country anyway with the way we consume food is that we're very disconnected from how the food is grown, where it comes from. This seems like it just adds another layer of technology that makes food seem like something we're magically producing rather than growing in the ground.
I would agree that you probably don't want to call it 3D printed food because that sounds too geeky. Maybe you would call it
There's also the cost factor. Is it justifiable for somebody to pay a lot of money for a food printer for their daily use or even infrequent use at this point?
Something that people like and they really want it, then you're going to have an issue supplying it because there's a bottleneck at the printer. So the question is, how many of these can you scale up, how rapidly, if you do succeed? And that's always a problem. I always look for those problems in ventures.
Where in the future you could imagine getting into a scenario where there's a labeling problem, where people try to pass off 3D printed or otherwise processed food for something it is not. That's something you'd have a problem with.
You're trying to have me come up with a good marketing spin on this thing on the spot. That's a hard question.
That's a hard question. That's fine.
Seeing a strong resistance to genetically modified organisms and those kinds of things, I can't imagine that that we're not going to see a lot of those same resistant attitudes towards printed food or mechanical food or however you want to think of it. The consumer adoption is just going to be really slow.
I think it would be a big step. I guess people said that about microwaves 20 years ago too, but it seems like it would be a big step for this to be something that people regularly use to make their food with.